Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. It's Bridget here from Bridget's Kitchen, and I'm back in my kitchen. I'm back here in Sydney, getting ready to cook some fabulous food, as always, doing a bit of testing, as we like to do as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I thought I would do a really quick little class because, you know, when I am away and when I do travel, I do miss cooking, and I did get to do quite a bit of cooking while I was in New Zealand. But you know what, there is nothing like stepping back into your own kitchen where all your stuff is, and I know where all my things are. You know, open the drawer, can find exactly what I'm looking for, all that sort of business. So back in the kitchen today. I mean, I just came off a wonderful interview this morning back in New Zealand on the phone interview on News Talk ZB with Mike Hosking. Amazing interview. It was straight after the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, so I felt very special indeed. And we talked all about gut health, we talked about my journey, and of course we talked about my book. So I thought I would do a quick little cooking class with you guys today, teaching you how to make the world's healthiest meatballs. There's a couple of little things, little points that you could utilize in your cooking to make sure that your meatballs are extremely healthy. Now the recipe that I'm doing, you can actually, it is in my cookbook, but I'm modifying it for us today. So the recipe that I'm doing today from Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, if you want to purchase my book, all you need to do is put into Google bridgetscookbook.com, and you'll be able to purchase my book. But what I thought I'd do is a recipe straight from here. And the recipe, I know it's backwards, but the recipe here is my turkey meatballs. And turkey meatballs are extremely good for us, but I do also realize that turkey meat can be a little bit, or mince or breast, can be a little bit hard to get hold of. So I thought, rather than making it difficult, even though this is such a fabulous recipe, and would you believe that's breakfast? That is in the breakfast section of my cookbook, turkey meatballs. It's so wonderful. I thought I'll go one step further with you guys today and create really healthy meatballs using all those wonderful techniques that I've sort of alluded to at the beginning of this video, to show you guys how I like to do meatballs and how meatballs are pretty much done in my house from now on. So we're going to do a little video, but as the meatballs are cooking, there's going to be some downtime of about 7 minutes, so I thought it'll be a really nice opportunity to do a Q&A. So if anyone's got any questions whatsoever, provided you remember it's a family show, so nothing too rude, nothing too hard as well. A little bit jet lagged. No, I'm not jet lagged, I'm just kidding. But yes, if you'd like to do a little Q&A with me after I show you guys the technique on how to make these meatballs and their cooking, then you are more than welcome to, you know, save up all your questions for after that as well. And just saying hi to Karen. Good to see you, my love. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining today. All right, so remember, we're making the world's healthiest meatballs. Healthy meatballs. Now meatballs tend to be, when I think of meatballs, I think of them being usually red meat based, so they're either coming from beef or lamb, and even though we can make a really healthy version of those, these particular meatballs are going to be even healthier still, because we're not using red meat for our meatballs today. You can probably guess what we might be doing, considering turkey meatballs are in my cookbook. The meatballs that we're going to be doing today, maybe I'll bring the camera down so you guys can see what I'm doing down here. The meatballs that we're going to be doing today are going to be with chicken. Now the reason I'm using chicken, remember we're talking about this being a really healthy meatball alternative to your normal red meat meatballs. Try and say that 3 or 4 times in a row. So the reason I'm using chicken is, yes, it is extremely accessible for a start, and we can get a really good quality chicken and still pay a fairly good price. So the chicken breast is what I have in here, and if you may have noticed, first thing, number one thing is I haven't got chicken mince. I'm going to make my own chicken mince. It is so easy to do. So I'm using chicken breast. The reason I'm using chicken breast is it is extremely lean, and you can just see by just looking at it, there's no marbling of fat through that. That is literally just chicken meat. So because it's really lean, it's going to be really healthy and good for us. So I'm using chicken mince. So that's the first thing that we're looking at. But before we do that, and also the other thing about meatballs is they tend to have, like, I know meatballs will either have breadcrumbs in them, some people even add additional fat and then they fry them in the frying pan. We're not going to be doing any of that today. We're going to start with my little trusty, whoops, nearly threw on the floor, my little trusty food processor, mini food processor, and we're going to start by adding the flavors, because yes, we've got my chicken breast there that I've just, roughly chopped up, into pieces. I need to add some flavor to that chicken mince. So the very first thing I'm going to do is start to mince up the flavors. And I've kind of got this little tray here, this little plate here, whoops, of flavors, things that are happening, things that are going to really make these meatballs just pop, make the flavor incredible, that you will just be absolutely in love with the flavor of these meatballs. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of ginger. You may notice that I still have the skin on my ginger. Do not even bother to peel it. There's such goodness just below the skin. Once it goes in here, you won't even notice that you haven't peeled it, and it saves so much time as well. So the ginger is the first thing that we're going to put into our food processor. A couple of chunks of ginger, and yes, I will share this recipe with you guys online probably tomorrow, so you've got a copy of this recipe. So ginger goes in there. We're also going to add some more flavors. So I have some raw garlic, just garlic cloves. Throw those in. Don't even have to bother chopping them. The food processor is going to do all the work for us. This is a potential for you. You don't have to add them if you don't have them in the fridge, but I always have a container of roasted garlic sitting in my fridge at all times, because the difference in flavor between the raw and the roast is this is a lot more mild, whereas, as you know, garlic can be pretty obvious. Like, you totally know when you've eaten too much garlic. Well, you don't know, but everyone around you knows that you've eaten too much garlic. So what I thought I would do is also add some, just to show you. You could do both, or you could do one or the other. Totally up to you. If you don't have roasted garlic, just go with the raw stuff. If you do, and I do, I'm going to add that in there. Now this is pretty cool. If you've never seen fresh turmeric, that is what it looks like. It kind of looks like the root or the rhizome of ginger. You know what ginger looks like? Whole ginger. But of course, look at that color. So I'm going to throw just a little bit of fresh turmeric in here. If you can't get hold of fresh turmeric, and the best way to find it is in your local veggie shop. Some good supermarkets do sell it, but your local veggie shop is probably going to be your best option, and it's usually sits with the ginger and the garlic and where all those types of products are based in your veggie shop. That's going to go in. If you don't have fresh turmeric, you could add a couple teaspoons of, or not even that much, a teaspoon of ground turmeric. But the benefits, the anti-inflammatory benefits of fresh turmeric far exceed those of dried. So that's why, remember, it's the healthiest meatballs. I'm going to add fresh turmeric into there. And now all I need to do is give it a little bit of a blend, up. So bringing my little machine, I'm going to go down this end. It's not, my cord's not long enough. Very loud noise just for a second as we give it a bit of a whiz. So in a couple seconds, which would have taken me probably 5 minutes of frantic chopping, you have, oh, the smell as well, by the way, you have your, that's actually roast garlic. If you, just in case you're wondering, that's a little bit of roast. No, I'll leave it in there. You already have, spatula, it all chopped up for you. Already done. Because this is not only the healthiest meatballs, they're actually also the quickest meatballs. Things don't take long. This little food processor I love. I travel everywhere with this. You probably see this in almost every single one of my videos that I do. It's looking like I need a new one. It's looking a little bit like it needs a holiday, but like me, it needs a bit of a holiday. All right, that is in there. Flavors are in there. Let's now add in the chicken chicken breast, the chopped chicken breast. You don't want to overfill your food processor. Around, depending on the size of your processor, obviously mine's tiny, so I'm only going to fill it kind of halfway because I want it to get well blended. Give my hands a bit of a wash down, a bit of a wipe down, and we're just going to blend that again, nice and quickly. That's it. Do you see how fast that is? Like, seriously, that is it. That is done. All we need to do now is I'm just going to add a few more flavors. And the flavors, because we've got all our fresh flavors in there. We've got garlic, we've got ginger, we've got turmeric, and of course fresh is always best when it comes to garlic and ginger and turmeric and all those sort of things. But I do actually also have some dried spices here, and I really want to share the recipe for this dry spice, because this is actually a jerk seasoning, as in spelt jerk, J-E-R-K, and it's a Jamaican jerk seasoning that goes really, really well with chicken. So what I thought I would do, I'm going to head off to the market very soon. I'm going to pick up a whole chicken. I'm going to roast it using my jerk seasoning, and then I'll share that recipe with you guys as well, because it's such a fantastic flavor and it works so incredibly well with chicken. So we're just going to give that one more bit of a, oh, you know what, before I do that, a little bit of salt. I'm using Himalayan salt, don't need too much, just a trace of that. You can add pepper or not, it's completely up to you. I'm going to add just a little bit of ground pepper. You can also add herbs as well. Now, these were fresh about 10 days ago when I left to go to New Zealand, but unfortunately the kids forgot to water my thyme, and now, can you hear that? It's no longer fresh, it's kind of dry. It'll still be a nice flavour. Let's throw that in. I'm not going to waste it. I've decided, even though the poor plant didn't get watered, I need to get some of those self-watering things for pots for my herbs for sure. So we're going to give that one last little blend. Yep, real happy with that. Now I don't want to over mix it, because when you over blend, and this is why I don't buy chicken mince from or ground chicken from the supermarket, because what I find is they make it almost like a paste, and when it's a paste, it becomes really easy to dry your chicken or your meatballs out when you're cooking them. So I much prefer to make it all myself, and then you get rather kind of like these chunks instead of it being like, you know, like a paste, because there's just no way, or not no way, it's really, really hard to make sure that you're still getting a nice moist product when the mince is so fine. So I'll get this out of the way without dropping anything. We've got all our flavours in there, which is wonderful. Anyone recognise this plate? How cool! Isn't it amazing? Oh, I just love this. All right, so I'm going to use that plate. I'm going to put that there so you can see why. So now we need to roll the meatballs. And once again, the process is really, really simple. If you take a little bowl of water and wet your fingers a little bit, and remember that there's no breadcrumbs to hold these together. So that's another reason why, because these are gluten-free. No breadcrumbs, and the water is just going to help you to create that little ball. That's all you do. You can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, depending on how you want to use them. So for example, I make my own roasted tomato sauce, which is absolutely fabulous. So it's almost like my own pasta sauce. And it literally is tomatoes, apple cider vinegar, lots of spices, ginger and garlic. And it's just absolutely wonderful. So I make my own meatball sort of, you know, pasta style sauce, really healthy for you. I then make these meatballs, and I make almost like a meatball, you know, spaghetti. Well, no spaghetti, I use zucchini. Little dish for dinner, which is just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But you know, you could use these in so many different ways. I also poach these, like make them just a little bit smaller, and then poach them in a little soup, like a little kombu broth. So then I've got like chicken dumplings. That recipe's in the cookbook as well. I've got a little chicken dumpling soup, which is wonderful, because then you get chicken dumplings too. There's just, like I said, there are so many ways you can do it. You can flatten them, make them bigger, and then flatten them, and then turn them into chicken patties, and then put them through a healthy burger with lettuce. I mean, the possibilities are literally endless once you apply those little techniques of making your own mince, adding all these wonderful spices. You can then just go crazy in terms of how you use these meatballs, and every single way you're going to use them is going to taste really fabulous. So remember, wetting fingers, and all we're doing is just bringing it together. So that's done. I'll finish those off later. But what we need to do now is prepare the air fryer, because I am using an air fryer. Let me go over here so you guys can see. I am using an air fryer to cook these in. Another way that's going to make sure that these are really, really healthy is we're going to stick them onto a rack, and we're going to put them in our air fryer, because of course our air fryer requires no oil or anything to cook these. So, and as I'm putting them on the rack, all the, you know, the juices are dripping down, so we're also keeping them once again from sitting in fat, which is so clever. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of my sticky sauce. This is Bridget's sticky sauce recipe in the book. It's actually the first recipe, because this is like probably my most popular recipe that I make. And my sticky sauce is my alternative to needing to add oil into anything. I'm just going to roll the meatballs into the sticky sauce. That's going to give it color and flavor on the outside. Put them over there. But my sticky sauce is literally tamari, which is a low sodium, gluten-free like soy sauce. I also have apple cider vinegar in there. There is some limes, there is some ginger, and there's a little bit of apple for sweetness, and it is literally the best thing ever if you want to start to cook with a really healthy medium. And I use it to stir fry. I do things like this. I use it to marinate meat overnight. Like marinating your beef in my sticky sauce is like unbelievable. All right, so I've got my air fryer on. I've got it on 220 degrees, which is pretty hot. I'm just going to set my timer to make sure that we got enough time. I said 7 minutes. I'm going to pop them into the air fryer on that little rack without attempting to not burn myself, which is always a good idea. And I'm going to let them cook for 7 minutes. There you go, it's already on. And in that time, I did promise that there'll be a little bit of Q&A with you guys. So I'm going to bring the camera back up here. Hi, it's me again. If you've got any questions, have we got any questions here? Okay, so we've got we are talking about the chicken. We were talking about the chicken mince and how I like to make my own. And one of the other reasons is because if you're buying chicken mince from the supermarket or from the butcher, you don't tend to know what type of cuts they've been putting into it, unless it says clearly marked chicken breast mince or ground chicken breast. So what you'll find is they will also put thigh, and as someone has just pointed out, Carl's has just pointed out, they also can put skin in there and just the fat. Whereas when it comes to the chicken breast and you're making your own mince, you're trimming the fat off. On a lot of the times, I mean, my chicken breast did not come with any skin, so I didn't even have to bother doing that. But you have complete control over what is going into your mince. Now I do it with chicken because I mean you saw how quick it is and how easy it is to make in just a little plastic food processor. It is so quick and easy that even if you were thinking about it purely from a time perspective, it doesn't take very long. You put all the ingredients in there and make the meatballs all in one container. It's just so awesome. And the other thing that I like about it is that I do control the cost too. So because you can get more bang for your buck when you make or you prepare ingredients yourself. So if you're thinking of it also from a budget perspective, you're making your own mince is cheaper than you purchasing the chicken already ground up in almost like a paste, which it's just for this, especially for this type of purpose, it's not very nice. I have to say it's not very nice because when it's a paste, the chicken cooks dry, but when it's actually in bigger chunks, you get more moisture. And one of the best things about eating is that you want your food to be moist. You want it to be succulent. You don't want it to be all dry unless it is like a chip and it needs to be dry, or a cracker and it needs to be dry. We tend to like to have moisture in our food, which is really, really important. So they are. Look, I'm going to have a little look, because this is really cool actually, this air fryer. And I do love the air fryer. This air fryer I bought online. I think I bought it via I'm based in Sydney, so I bought it via catch.com.au. I know you can also get them via kogan.com.au as well, but they have the New Zealand alternative for anyone who's watching from New Zealand. And I've also bought an air fryer while I was in the States about 3-4 weeks ago and doing a cooking cookbook launch and cooking class, and I bought an air fryer at Walmart. So you can buy them absolutely anywhere. I know they sell them in Kmart. My original air fryer came from Kmart, but it was quite a small one. I love the way it worked, but it was quite small, whereas this one that I'm using now is a 10-litre capacity, so it's almost twice. It was actually more than twice the size of my last one. I've got a really busy house, so I need to cook lots and lots and lots and lots of things at once. Someone just asked, can you bake it in the oven or a tray? Absolutely. If you don't have an air fryer, what I would suggest that you do is you put your oven on around about 200 degrees, line your oven tray with baking paper, or if you've got a little like a wire cake rack, stick them on top of the cake rack and then onto a tray, pop them in the oven. You're probably looking at, depending on your oven, you're probably looking at between 8 to 10, 11 minutes if they go into the oven. Air fryer is not for everyone. I wouldn't know how to live without it. Like literally, I travel overseas, and wherever I go, I find where I can buy an air fryer and have it delivered to wherever I'm staying before I even get there, because I just think it's brilliant. Everything happens in this one place. It takes 2 minutes to preheat, whereas your oven takes 10 to 15 depending on how old your oven is or how new your oven is. So you've got to preheat your big oven, whereas this is such a small appliance to preheat, so it takes 2 minutes to preheat. In this particular version, I can actually do a rotisserie chicken. I haven't yet, but I'll try it out one day when I get around time. It comes complete with a glass panel and a light, so I can see what's going on inside without having to lift the lid. But you know what? Curiosity killed the cat. I'm lifting the lid. I've got to see what's going on. I can't handle it. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, the smell! If you could just smell it, it's wonderful. A little bit longer. It's looking good, but it's really cool is that the color, you can see the turmeric, they kind of come out quite orangey, so they're really, really cool. So they won't be much longer. My air fryer is telling me 2 minutes. So I've managed to talk my way through them cooking in there, which is pretty exciting. But yeah, so this air fryer, as I say, I love it because of the big capacity. I've got a big household. But the greatest thing is, I have to say, is that the kids love using this because it's a lot safer than them turning on the oven and putting things on the cooktop. That the kids use this a lot. I mean, it's fast. I do so many things inside of it. You know, I can bake inside of it. I can roast. I can fry without oil. I can do meatballs. I can cook bread. There's so many things you can do with it. It's not just an appliance that has one particular job. You can do lots and lots and lots of things. I boil eggs, not boil because there's no water. I cook hard boiled eggs in here as well, and I did a little video actually on Bridget's Kitchen not long ago about my hard boiled eggs, and you literally take raw eggs and you put them in there and then you turn it on for like 7 minutes and you have the perfect cooked egg. The white is firm and the yolk's still a little bit runny. If you like the yolk a bit harder, you just cook it a little bit longer, but for me 7 minutes is just perfect. But yeah, air fry, let's have a look. It's about to start beeping at me. I think our meatballs might be ready. I might go and grab some tongs, even though I've got asbestos fingers from 30 years in professional kitchens. That's probably going to be a little bit too hot, so give me a second while I track down a pair of tongs. Are you ready? So I love the big reveal. It's usually my favorite time. Look at that. How cool is that? Look, oh, it's actually not too hot. Oh, it's a little bit hot. You can see the steam coming up. But look at him. It. Oh, the smell is wonderful. These are the cutest things ever. Let's just open them up so you can sort of see how lovely and moist it is in there as well. That is fabulous. That took 7 minutes in the air fryer, 220 degrees. You saw how quick it was to make the mince as well. It doesn't need much time. And the way we got away with not having as much fat in there is we added flavor. And the flavor that we added today was by way of garlic and ginger and turmeric, and of course my jerk seasoning went in there as well. I use raw garlic, I use roasted garlic. The choice is really yours, but now you get to decide what you want to do with this, which is really, really cool. I better taste it just to make sure, right? It's tasting pretty good. Oh my god, it's really good. And once, you know, my favorite thing about it is it's moist. It is so moist. You would not think for a million days that would actually be healthy. I would look at that and potentially think, oh yeah, there could be a little bit of, you know, stuff in there. You guys saw what I put in there. I'm going to keep eating it. Oh, it's so good. You guys saw what I put in there. And oh, there's so much flavor. Oh my god. I just hit a little bit of the roast garlic. It is phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. I reckon the world's healthiest meatballs. It's easy to make. Yes, if you don't have an air fryer, we can do it in the oven. Just remember to put a baking paper. We don't want any oil or anything nasty in there. It's just going to be like this. You can cook them off. You can put them in the fridge. If your chicken, trying to chew and talk at the same time. If your chicken breast is fresh, that will last you 4 to 5 days in the fridge. But of course, the alternative is if you're a meal prepper, you can also cook those down and freeze them, or you can roll them into balls and freeze them raw, and then when you're ready to heat them up, throw them frozen into your air fryer for about 15 to 20 minutes. So there's so many things and ways, wonderful ways that you can use those up. I hope you've enjoyed this quick little cooking class. I've got so much more that I want to share with you guys. So many more recipes as well. So it's super exciting time here in Bridget's Kitchen. Thank you so much for watching. I hope, oh, someone just asked me, did you make, last question of the day, did you make or buy your roast garlic? Oh my God. So, you know I love this is for Carl's. You know how I love the air fryer? I roasted in the air fryer. So what you need to do is grab yourself a fresh bulb of garlic, like a whole bulb of garlic. Smash it down on the bench so the cloves break up, but still whole, so not peeled. Take the garlic, put it into your air fryer. I think it's around about 180 degrees for 4 to 5 minutes, and you have the perfect roast garlic. You don't have to buy anything. It's so easy. It's amazing. Of course, no fats, no oils, because you're doing it in the air fryer. It's wonderful. All right, guys. Love you lots. I hope to see you again real soon. And yeah, keep watching, because I literally have so many exciting things that I want to share with you guys. There's not enough time today, but I'm going to get there. All right, guys, take care. Bye.